Servus, Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Many people say the United States is now a one-party system, a one-party state, so to speak. What does that mean? And I heard that, for example, from content creators from Germany also. And Germans know a thing or two about one-party systems, and maybe it is worthwhile to listen a little bit to a German, in this case me, trying to explain what we mean by that. Maybe you come from a country where this is not really common knowledge, and maybe, or maybe you haven't studied that history of these one-party political systems. One-party political systems, like you have them in China right now also, they're not characterized by the absence of other parties, mind you. In one-party systems, in the socialistic one at least, there were most of the time, and in the German case, in the GDR, the DDR, there were other parties, yes. There was not just one party, the Unity Party. That was, of course, the state party. That was the party that effectively ran the show, that had all the power. And, well, I don't want to make a big surprise out of it, you know, it's not a big surprise. Guess what? They controlled the other parties, of course, by various means. Not only by one, by various means. So, let's look into that. What is a one-party system in the socialistic sense, like in the example of the GDR, the Eastern German Socialist Republic, or Deutsche Demokratische Republik, German Democratic Republic? Of course, a complete mockery, clown world name. So what happened there? There was, of course, a nationalist party, sure. There was a communist party, there was a social democratic party, there was a liberal party, there was a Christian democratic party, just like in Western Germany, of course. And then the social democratic party and the communist party, they merged and they formed the SED, the Socialistic Unity Party of Germany. And the other parties, they remained. And some of these other parties, they were taken over, of course, by the SED, or let's say their officials, their leaders were, well, they were, you know, disappeared, or they were arrested or something like that, right? And the SED took them over, but the name remained, and their party program, while they still followed the SED leadership in their line, they were using rhetoric and narratives that was more, more aimed at these other demographics, these non-socialist demographics. For example, there was a peasants' party, right? Because farmers, they leaned towards the Christian Democratic Union. And they were not workers, they were not proletarians, yeah? Non-proletarian segments of society, they should be catered to by these other parties. And that was, for example, this peasants' party, or the farmers' party, or something like that, right? Yeah, and these parties, they were called Blockparteien, bloc parties, and they were part of the bloc of anti-fascist parties of Germany or something. And the SED officially was also part of this bloc, of course, but they were never referred to as bloc parties. They were the state party. But the other parties, they were referred to as the bloc parties. And that just meant controlled opposition, of course. That is to say that they served basically two purposes. The one is, as I said already, to cater to these other segments of society. And the second reason is, yeah, of course, you can claim that you still are a republic. You have a parliament, you have, discussions between different parties. Everything normal, just like in a real republic, right? And this fig leaf of a democratic elements or multiple or several opinions being possible, or several different ideologies coexisting, that lie, that simulation, so to speak, was upheld until the very end. And sometimes it is said that if you wanted to rise through the ranks, going via one of these bloc parties was actually faster because competition wasn't as high there. Of course, you were barred from real positions of power in the military or in the police or whatever. But if you wanted to, go for a different career, maybe a membership in one of the bloc parties would be good. Bloc party meant that you are still loyal to the SED, but you're not a full-blown member. But of course, they were all in line. All in line with the communist way of thinking, and they had to respect the leadership of the SED. And so here, maybe you can see now what that means. One-party state doesn't mean that there is just one party. If you thought that, then, well, think again. And check out the link down below about the Blockparty system, about the one-party state system that we had in Germany. Yeah, so what does this have to do with Germany now? What does this have to do with the United States maybe even? Well, many people say in Germany, and especially in the eastern states, in central Germany, they say that the old parties, the legacy parties, they are bloc parties. They're using this word again, even though it's after 1990, they're still using this word. They're reusing it. They have started to use this word again. Why? Because all the parties basically now, except for a part of one party. It's not even, of course, the AfD, I would say, is not a bloc party, but parts of it are. So I would say half of the AfD is an actual opposition, and the other half is a right-wing bloc party. And all the other parties in Germany are bloc parties. They are not real political parties. They are all, in the end, they want the same thing. There is no division about the fundamental path. Maybe they make some stage play. They enact some fake scripted confrontations or something like that. But in the end, there is no real division over what a country Germany should be like. What kind of country we should be. Migration, economics, taxes, now this hygiene stuff that we have right now, this China bug panic. There is absolutely no division here. They are crystal clear on the side of Angela Merkel. There is not even a discussion about it. So Germany is, of course, in effect, basically a one-party system, and many people say America is so too now again. When Trump is no longer president, America might be also a one-party state in the end. Because what are the Republicans doing? Trump was never really a Republican. He donated to Democrats before. He was more aligned with the Democrat Party before he actually went into politics himself. So Trump is not and has never been a classical Republican or somewhere a proud Republican. He was an oddball. He was an anomaly. And now, if he is no more, if he is no longer in power, let's say, where will the Republican Party go to? Of course, back to their old ways. And just look at what they did. Who introduced no-fault divorce, for example, or who was also in favor of women voting and all these things, right? Who was in favor of that? Who brought that? Who changed the migration system and stuff like that? It was not all the Democrat Party. Of course, the Democrat Party was, of course, also engaged in these things, but it's not like the Republicans were a real serious opposition that had a fundamentally different idea. I had comments down in under my videos that said, "Oh, the Republican Party is clearly, distinctly different from the Democrat Party." Yeah, is it really? I completely agree when it's about the people, the voters, the people who identify with said parties. They are distinctly different from the other side, right? They have completely different values. They have completely different ideas about life, about from work ethics to religion to everything. Of course, these are completely different people, but the parties, they are almost exchangeable. Sure, they sound different, they use different narratives, different rhetoric, of course, and this is what bloc parties do. This is why there were bloc parties. They should cater to those segments of society and bring them under the influence or bring them in as voters to the system, let's call it that, the one-party system, even though they're not in favor of the SED, of the Socialist Union Party, right? This was the function of the bloc parties. And now look at US history in the 20th century. What was the function? What were they doing? Did they actually have different ideas? Did they actually make a difference? Or were they just used to bring people who think differently, who are distinctly different, back into the voter pool for a one-party globalist system? Ask yourself this question. Is it really distinctly different? Are there truly different ideas there? Is it going into a distinctly different direction? I think not. So in a way, the USA will be again, or might always have been, also in the end, a one-party system. Of course, you can disagree, you can criticize that statement, but I think you know what I mean, right? That there are different parties, of course, and they have both their functions to bring in voters that think like this, that think like that hold these values, that hold that set of values. But in the end, the goal is similar, and what they're doing is similar. Once again, examples from Germany. Who stopped nuclear power in Germany? Angela Merkel, from a party that was always promoting it. The Green Party didn't stop nuclear power, the CDU did. Who finished our draft? Who made sure that we don't use the draft anymore for our young men? It was the CDU. It was Angela Merkel from the Conservative Party, who always wanted the draft. They said, the military is the school of the nation. Okay, maybe that was a little bit before, but you know what I mean. I mean, they always said that military training for our young men is important, it's essential. It wasn't the Green Party, it wasn't the SPD, it wasn't the people who hated the military all the time who discontinued that or who made sure that the draft is no longer exercised. No, it was again the CDU. And who cut down the welfare budget in the 90s? Was it the evil liberal party, the party of the dentists and of the rich fat cats? No, it was the Green Party with the Social Democrats. It always works that way. So seriously, in the end, it is just a word, one-party system. It's just a label. But ask yourself, does that label more accurately describe what we're having? Or does the label multi-party democracy or something describe what we have better? I mean, you decide in the end. I'm not saying it is like that, but I think this model, to think in this model system of the parties just as bloc parties in a effective one-party state system, I think that image makes a lot of sense, and it helps me actually better understand what is going on in politics than to assume that, the Liberal Party is for liberal values and the Social Democratic Party is for the working class, and the CDU, they're conservatives. They wanna conserve German values and German traditions and culture, and the Green Party is for the environment. And come on, this is ridiculous, right? You notice that this is a joke, right? Of course they're not. Of course they're not doing this, Of course this is just show. Of course they're just using the rhetoric that the people who honestly and truly believe in these things want to hear. They're using that in order to just, get votes. That's it. And if you are a Green Party guy you say something about the environment. If you're a social democrat, you say something about the welfare state and our workers and our retirements and so on. And if you're from the CDU, you say, oh yeah, German tradition and culture, and it's good to live in such a great country as Germany. And if you're from the Liberal Party, you say, whoa, ho, lower taxes, whoa, ho, ho. And yeah, but in the end, they all do the same. They open the borders and they sell us out to foreign powers. And now they do much more than that, as you can see, not only from my recent videos. So read about that one-party systems, and it does not mean that there is just one party, of course not. The concept of bloc parties is essential to understand how such a state is run, and their function is one that is so important that I think a one-party state system couldn't function for a long time with European people, or at least in the 20th century with those people. It was a necessary decoy or a democracy simulation that was run. Of course, people looked right through it, but hey, they still voted for these people, if you believe those results. But be that as it may, these bloc parties had a distinct and important function, and I think they fulfilled them in the 20th century, and I think now in the 21st they still do, and they continue to fulfill this function. Yeah, let me know what you think about that. And as always, not always, but once again, I want to urge you to check out Odyssey and BitChute. Links are down below, and follow me also there, because who knows for how long Big Tech will tolerate my teeny tiny voice on their great platform. Servus, Kameraden.